we'll jump on over here to Owen. It really doesn't matter who wins. The system itself is broken. And look, I didn't even know that this was next. Owen writing here, it doesn't matter who wins these political seats. The system itself is broken, and yet no one addresses this. Neither party is legitimate, in my opinion, and voting for either party is what gives them legitimacy to pass laws that I guess no one wants, is what you meant there. Stop voting altogether, says Owen, and make it known that you did not vote. If everyone did this, then they would be forced to look at the system itself. To continue voting for a broken system is insanity. Refusing to recognize their authority is what should be talked about at every opportunity, but we never hear this why. Owen, stop thinking. Stop thinking, because this is so inane, so backwards. And I would be, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have been very delicate. I would have taken you with kid gloves, and then I would have shown you how this is just so stupid that you should not be, that you have to change it or you're not going to be allowed to talk anymore. Well, now I'm just going to say, don't think anymore. First of all, this position you have here, that if you didn't vote and you told everybody not to vote on your side, the opposition would vote and they would be in power and you would lose. You would suffer the consequences every election cycle, and it would get worse real fast. So this is such midget wittery. I cannot conceive how maybe you're just repeating what somebody else said and you haven't actually thought about this whatsoever, because we should all just tell everybody to stop voting, and the only people who are going to listen are the ones on our side, of course. We should tell them all to stop voting, because if you vote, it gives legitimacy to the system, and then they're going to vote and they hold all the guns, and you are going to lose your right to self-defense. You're going to lose your right to the First Amendment. You're going to lose every single right that you may have had. Just please, I really hope that someone said this and you repeated it without thinking. That's probably what happened, Owen. I really hope it's what happened, because that whoever that person is should never think again. They should, stay with the trying to color within the lines or the finger paints or whatever it is that they give them to do at that nice little center where they pat you on the head. But don't repeat what they say anymore. And then you say up here, it doesn't matter who wins. It absolutely matters. Have you not watched what's going on? Have you not seen the Republicans, who are not white positive? Have you not seen them getting in the way of the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats, advancing bills that would put an end to everything you understand exists in this country overnight? You would have no legal recourse whatsoever. This is so goddamn stupid. I cannot believe that you would repeat, that anybody would say this and that you would repeat it. Never say this again. I'm sure I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say that Owen is just a busy man, and he hasn't given any thought to these things. He's just repeating what some content creator, and this is most likely what happened. In all seriousness, this is most likely what happened. Some content creator trying to get a name for himself, and this is like a 20-year-old argument, by the way, Owen. Some content creator trying to get a name for himself and has said, the system is broken. It doesn't matter who wins. We should be telling our people not to vote, because if you vote, you give it legitimacy. Just stay home. Just stay home and don't rally, and don't try to manipulate the system. Don't try to control the system. Don't try to control your destiny. You just let them do that for you, because last thing you want is for the anti-whites to know that you think their system is legitimate. Because when they kick your door down and put a gun in your face, you want to be able to say, I think this is totally illegitimate, in the snarkiest way you can say it. And then when they drag you off to prison, or maybe they put a bullet in you right there for your snark because they're sick of it, then you can wing your way off into the heavens thinking, well, it was illegitimate, so there. It's asininity. Never again repeat anything like this. The system is dominated by anti-whites. That's the problem. The problem is that the system is dominated by anti-whites, and the other end of the problem is that you, Owen, And so many of our brothers and sisters will only use the ideas and the words, the lexicon and the dialectics that the anti-whites approve for you to use. So now, Owen, you can make a difference. You can say, whoever that idiot was who was telling me, making that 20-year-old argument, that 20, I hope it wasn't made recently, that 20-year-old argument that system's just broken, it's so illegitimate, and therefore we should just not vote and tell each other not to vote. And whoever that person is, I hope that you will give them a sturdy bird, as we say here in the US, and then you will move right into going free, and you will pick up a lexicon, dialectics as well, that will serve you, that will empower you, and that will give you an epiphany as bright as a supernova into how we can actually recapture our destiny by controlling the milieu, the verbiage, the ideas with which the politicians and their morality, etc., has to come into contact with our morality. By controlling that on our side, we begin to recapture our destiny. If it's too difficult to understand, stick around. You may understand it after a time. If you eventually don't understand it, there are many things I don't understand. I don't understand music. Jared George, as the Great Order, just came out with some beautiful music, and I don't understand how he did any of it. It's magnificent. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'll let Mr. George make the music. I'll let Imminent Rain make the music. I'll let Fourneau make the music. I'll let Mama P and Jeff and all of these other wonderful, and Hyreth, and all of these wonderful people make the music, and it'll be beautiful, it'll be magnificent, and they know all the nitty gritty of it. They get into the granular level of it, and I don't need to know any of it. I will stay in my lane, and we will succeed with a psychological defense against the psychological warfare. We will cover the physical, the mental, and the spiritual here, as we have with my writings, and we will continue to do so until there is no more breath coming out of these lungs. So you stay in your lane. If you can't understand this, just understand this. And that is that we have testimonial after testimonial after testimonial after testimonial of this working in people's lives. And when I tell you, after I worked on the Hill, after I worked with these kind of people, after I was in on Wednesday luncheons, private off the record, where House and Senate and White House staff showed up, and the heads of the biggest conservative organizations across the United States all showed up on Wednesday for these massive off the record discussions about strategy. After seeing all of that, you can go ahead and defer to somebody who is, you might be able to consider a bit of an expert in this field at this point, sort of several decades of working in it. So autodidactically, you might be able to consider me an expert in these areas. You can defer to me, especially when I make prediction after prediction that works, and the document is a lens that we've worked on, all of us, my work, other people's work. We subject it to the scientific method, and you can now pick up that lens like a magnifying glass and understand the world, retrodicting and predicting. What more do you need? You can't do that with any investment vehicle in economy. We're going to be bringing on Sarah Dye in just one moment, ladies and gentlemen. You can't do that with any investment vehicle. You can't predict the weather with all of the equipment that we have accurately, but you can predict the anti-whites with what we have here. You can retrodict the anti-whites with what we have here. You can save lives with what we have here. You can be better than you are with what we have here. And testimonial after testimonial after testimonial proves that this is the case. We need to grow up as a people, as a community, sociopolitically mature from where we have been. Because too long we have spent time with people who just want to doom document, doom dissect. We want to give all of our attention to the individuals who are bizarre or strange or broken or crippled or whatever it might be. With the academic peacocks, because they might know something since they've sat up in that tower for so long and pontificate to the rest of us when they know squat from those heights. Ladies and gentlemen, we are where the rubber meets the road. This is where the action happens. I made a roll-in video speaking directly to Vincent James of Red Elephants, because I've written this guy. He seems like a nice guy, and so many people tell me he's a wonderful man. He's appeared on, PWR several times, and was a great guy there. So I've no doubt he's a good guy. But when I write him, he does not write back. When I write him, it's just hollering out into the wilderness. So I decided, I had these people sending me, numerous people sent me. At first, I just ignored it. people saying that he had said a couple places about punishing the GOP. And so for those folks who wrote me and said that there's one video, apparently there's more places that he has said punish the GOP or something like this. So I decided, since so many people had said this, and since he won't respond to me, I can't get clarification. I'm a busy man. I have a day job. I do this constantly. I barely sleep. I am fired up for white well-being. I'm not going to take an hour or more searching through Vincent James videos to probably not even find any of the places, or only some of the places, or one of the places, or 5 of the places where this guy has said punish the GOP. If a bunch of people come to me who are not in league, not trying to turn me against Vince, they're just saying, in fact, these people are saying that they're fans of Vincent. They watch him all the time, but they're disappointed with this idea of punishing the GOP. So I made a roll in saying, stop saying this. This is foolish. You're just angry right now because there are people in the GOP who do not support Trump. I don't like the fact that they don't support Trump either, but we need to be adults. This is time to be an adult. And he has a massive audience. So he should not be telling his audience, he needs to be mature. He should not be telling that massive audience, don't vote for these Republican senators. He should be saying to every single one of them, vote, 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 vote. If you are in Georgia, if you can vote in Georgia, if it's legal for you to vote in Georgia, vote for these senators, because you have this Stacey Abrams supposedly collecting tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of harvested ballots that she's gonna wheel in on a unicycle from hell on fire with all of these things, and she's going to dump them all and say, you've got to accept all of these no matter what. We've seen this all over the country. If you are in Georgia, I don't care if you are a white person who's a Democrat, a white person who's an independent, a white person who picks your ass all day long while you fish and you've never voted before. Go and vote for both of these Republicans. No excuse given. And this is what Vincent should be saying. Because controlling the Senate, I'm going to be reading after we let the wonderful Sarah Dye go at the end of the night, and she's got quite a story to share with you all. I am going to be reading something that will become law of the land when the Democrats control everything, ladies and gentlemen. The anti-whites who call themselves Democrats, when they control everything, this will become law of the land. The Justice for Black Farmers Act. And it will probably get worse than what I'm going to read. You better stick around to hear what that's all about, because this is going to blow the top off your head. And if you're going to throw a tantrum and say, well, I'm just pissed at these because there's so many of these Republicans, the rhinos and all this other. Look, listen, Republicans are not white positive. They don't care about white people. I worked on the Hill. Never once did they say anything about white people. In fact, they went out of their way to say, no, not doing anything for white people. Read my book, Born Guilty. I talk about it in there. They don't care about white people. We don't need them to. There is a strategic reality. And that strategic reality, this is where I guess maybe it separates the boys from the men. The strategic reality is that these people who call themselves Republicans and who have their alignments, who have their business connections, and who have their donors and the like, they stand to suffer severely if the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats get their way. So the anti-whites who call themselves Republicans are going to suffer if the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats get their way. That means that we need them in all. You need those people who are going to be fighting for you, even though they don't want to. Why is this not just, if it's not obvious, pick up the phone and call me. I will explain it to you in detail. And this just doesn't go for Vincent. Send me messages. If you're a content creator and you can't figure this out, send me a message. We won't even tell anybody that I helped you figure it out. We won't even tell a soul. You could just go on your stream with the audience that's 100 times the audience here and say you came up with it on your own. I don't give a shit. But stop with this childish nonsense. And you're not going to make this. Somebody wrote and said, oh, I was trying to make some sort of a nuanced. No, you're talking to the laity. You're talking to the general public. You need to give them very clear signals. You can't give them some sort of vaguely like lava lamped at one moment, and from one angle it's kind of like this, and at one moment from another angle. That is just ignorant. You need to give them white and black, up and down, 1 and 0. It needs to be that straight. Vote in Georgia for the Republican senators. If you do not want anti-white hell on earth, if you can vote in Georgia legally, vote for these people. If you are on a respirator, drag that son of a bitch along with you to the voting station.